Hi everyone, this is City Scrapper. Thank you so much for joining me on my channel today. Today I'm excited to be participating in the Mixed Media Frenzy monthly hop. The layout that we're scraplifting is in the upper left-hand corner of the screen, and it's a absolutely gorgeous layout. I just love the leaves that are in almost a wreath around the photo, and I wanted to do the same thing on my layout. So I'm starting off by using some Bow Bunny stamps and stamping some leaves. They seem very similar to the ones in the layout. And I'm using some Stays On in jet black. And then while the ink is still wet, I'm putting some black embossing powder on top of the leaves, and then I'm embossing them. This is the first time that I tried using embossing powder over ink. I saw it a long time ago on YouTube, and I thought that I would give it a try, and it works really well. So I'm making some larger leaves, and then I also like to have some accent leaves, so I'm making some really small ones as well. I repeat this process quite a few times, and I end up with quite a few leaves. I fussy cut all of them out, and then once they're cut out, I'm ready to add some color. I want to make a Halloween layout, so I'm going to use just purple and orange leaves. To make the purple leaves, I use a Lindy's Magical called Witch's Potion, and I also use a Tattered Angels Glimmer Mists called Spooky Night, and also Strawberry Pie. Right now I'm applying the Lindy's Magical. I put a little on my tabletop and then I sprayed it with some water, and now I'm spreading it around on top of the leaves. I'm also including a reddish color. That was the Strawberry Pie color. That's a Tattered Angels Glimmer Mist, and I'm adding those colors in as well because I don't want the leaves to be one solid color. I want there to be variation in the leaves. So using a couple of different colors helps with that. And I also am making an effort to leave a few little white spaces on the leaves. I think that the white spaces also make the leaves a little more interesting. And I just continue adding a mixture of the different colors and water until I am happy with the way that the leaves look. And this is the first time that I'm using this set of magicals. This is a set of 5 Halloween colors, and I love the way they're very shimmery. I thought that that was really appropriate because I think that leaves look really pretty when they're shimmery. The other half of the leaves I'm going to be making orange, and to make these orange leaves I am using a magical that's called Ag's Wart Orange. I'm also using some Prima Color Bloom in Pot Marigold and Spring Dandelion. Just like with the purple leaves, I'm starting off with the magical and I'm adding some water to it. I'm spreading the color around the leaves, but I'm leaving some areas of white. The very small leaves that I made, I'm going to make all of those orange. I didn't want to have them in different colors. I wanted them to be the same color. I don't really know why, but I thought that I would make all of them orange. I'm really in the Halloween spirit this year. I'm always in the Halloween spirit, and I'm always in Christmas spirit when those holidays get closer. But this year, I'm really showing that enthusiasm with my scrapbooking. I always love to scrapbook Halloween. I scrapbook Halloween photos year round. But this year, I'm kind of seeing Halloween in every layout that I attempt. So I have quite a few Halloween layouts, or quite a few challenges that I have made into Halloween layouts. Here I'm adding a good amount of yellow to the leaves. You'll see when the leaves are dry that a lot of the yellow kind of fades away. It mixes together with the orange and it just looks a little bit lighter, and that's why I really like to add numerous layers of color and not be afraid of the colors. A lot of things look super colorful, and then when they dry they don't look as colorful. And if ever something is too colorful, you could always add a little bit of gesso to it and dull down the color. Now I'm using an art anthology stencil, and I'm using some modeling paste through the stencil. I'm not using the droplets part of the stencil. You could see that there are some waves or some water on the top and the bottom of the stencil. I really liked the diamonds that were created by the lines in the rest of the stencil, so that's the part of the stencil that I'm going to be using. And I just want to have the modeling paste on the left-hand side of the page. The layout that we're scrap lifting doesn't have mixed media on the background to the extent that I'm going to have it on the background. There are some splatters. There are also some doilies and some other elements that are on the background that I don't include in my layout. I did want to bring some green into the layout, so I decided that I would have a large area of color behind the photo. I'm starting out with some Lindy's Magicals. I'm using Yodeling Yellow and California Poppy Gold. And these are the magical shakers, so I'm shaking a little bit onto the background and adding some water using my spray bottle. I've learned with experimenting with the magicals that you really only need a very little bit, and it goes a long way. And although I'm adding yellow right now, I am going to add some green to the background, and the background comes out looking primarily green. I lost a little bit of footage here. I had added some of the magical that's over to the right. It is called Freaky franken-lime. I came back the next day and I guess I must have added too much water because the color had faded to almost nothing. So I'm going back in again with some more layers of that color. And some of the magicals will have a second color that's mixed in with the first color. It's usually just a little hint of the second color. And for this magical, I don't know if you could see it this time, maybe a little bit down the bottom, there was some teal mixed in with this green color. And it gave me the idea that teal would look very nice in the background. So I do end up adding some teal to the background as well. I wanted to add a few splatters, so I tapped on my paintbrush a little bit. And now I'm using the packaging technique to spread out some of those slightly pooled areas of color. So far, I feel pretty good about the way the background is coming out, but I don't feel that it's done. So while I'm trying to think of what I should do, I cleaned up the background a little bit. I used some water and a paper towel to clean it up, but you could also use a baby wipe. That works really well also. And the background is gessoed, so that also helps with the cleanup. Since I like that little touch of teal that was in the green magical, I thought it would make sense to just go ahead and add some teal to the background. So I used a magical for that as well. This is called Time Travel Teal. And I think teal is a great color to go with the traditional Halloween colors. So I've been adding that into my Halloween layouts lately. I dried the background thoroughly with my heat tool, and then I sprinkle some water on top of the large area of color, and then I use a paper towel roll and roll that across my layout, and that picks up the water droplets that I just put on the background, and then that lifts up a little bit of the color and it leaves some watermarks. It looks pretty cool. So I repeat the water droplets a couple of times, and I never get tired of rolling the paper towel on top and seeing the effect that picking up the color has. I'm also adding some white splatters to the background. This is just watered down white acrylic paint. And now I'm working on my photo. I used a Creative Memories cutter, the smallest circle that I have, to cut out this picture. This is a photo of my daughters in Salem, Massachusetts in October a couple of years ago. And I have already scrapbooked other photographs from this particular encounter with Dracula, but I haven't scrapbooked this one. Also, I scrapbook separate albums for both of my daughters, so sometimes I will scrapbook the same photo more than once. Now I feel that the background is complete, so I grab those leaves that were drying off to the side and I start arranging them around the photo. I really like the way the leaves are clustered in the layout that we're scrap lifting, so I'm doing the same basic thing on my layout. I'm trying to cluster the leaves in a similar way. I'm mixing the purple and the orange together, and in the layout that we're scrap lifting, there's another inner row of leaves that is white. I'm not going to have anything similar to that on my layout. I'm just going to use these colorful leaves. And then I realized that I was not done with the background. There's so much black in the photo and in the leaves that I thought that it made sense to put some black splatters in the background. But luckily I hadn't done very much, so it really wasn't that hard to just peel up the picture and add a couple more splatters. And then, in addition to splatters, I was thinking that the background might look nice with some stamping. I started off with some background stamps. I have this script rubber stamp that's in my collection, and I'm also using some clear stamps. One of them is a mesh stamp, and the other one has some dots on it. And these are my go-to background stamps. I like the way they're all a little different, and I just like the impact of all of them as well. I'm not sure about the manufacturers of any of the stamps, but I think that the dot stamp is a Studio Calico stamp. It's from many years ago, so I don't know if it's still available, but I have seen many stamps that are similar to all of the stamps that I use in the background. Now that I'm done stamping on the background and splattering on the background, I put the photo back in place, and luckily most of the leaves stuck to the photo. There's ATG adhesive on the back of the photo, so a lot of the leaves stuck to that and I didn't have to rearrange all of them. In the layout that we're scraplifting, there are lots of butterflies. I was thinking that a Halloween substitute for butterflies would be bats, so I'm spreading a couple of bats around the background. I believe these are Recollections brand stickers. And I only had them in one size, so then I thought that I would add some other sizes of bats by using some clear stamps. So I looked through my stash of bat stamps and I found two that I thought would be a good addition to the background. They're both smaller than the embellishment bats that are already on the layout, and one of them has its wings up, so I thought that just made it a little interesting because it's different than all the others. I started looking through my stash to find some other elements that I could add to the layout. I added a fleur-de-lis on the top of the photo. It's black, so it's not super noticeable, but I thought that that would be a nice touch. And then I was thinking that I wanted to pop up the ends of some of the leaves so that they would have a little bit of dimension, and I'm only popping up some of them. So I'm cutting out some small pieces of fun foam and I'm putting them behind some of the leaves. And off camera, I glued down all of the elements that are on the page. I put a little extra adhesive behind the bats, and I used ATG adhesive behind the leaves, and I made sure that everything was secured down to the layout. Now I'm adding my title to the background. I purchased a whole bunch of Halloween titles on eBay. Somebody was selling them for such a reasonable price, and they had files that I don't have, and they were right up my alley. I'm not really great at titles. It's not my favorite thing. So I love really nice pre-made titles. They were cut out on a piece of black cardstock, and I embossed this one with some black embossing powder. And the cat was part of the titles as well, and I embossed the cat also. After I was almost done with the layout, I felt that there weren't enough black splatters showing, so I decided to go back in again and add a couple more. So I covered up my photo, I added some random splatters, and then I went back and I dotted a few in some places that none landed, but I wanted to have some. I wanted to add something else to the leaves, so I decided to add these branches. These are glittery black branches, and they're from a Halloween pick from Joanne. And I saw it, I thought it would be perfect for this purpose to kind of tuck in among some florals that were on Halloween layouts. So I bought a couple of these and I really like the little touch that this adds. For a couple of years, I kept missing the Halloween picks and I was really happy to time it correctly this year, so I made sure that I stocked up. After I have the picks tucked in, I was thinking that I wanted to add something else by the title, and I tried this bat for a little bit of time, and then I changed my mind. I didn't like it over there. I didn't want to have a cat and also a bat, but I did move the bat up to the top of the layout. And now I'm using some heavy-duty matte gel medium, and I'm attaching down those picks. And I know some people don't like to add a lot of bulk to their layout, but these picks are sitting pretty flat against the page, so it didn't add a lot of bulk. No more than your average scrapbooking embellishments. I was thinking that it might look nice if I added some small leaves by the title, that would help to tie the title in with the rest of the page. So I made two more small orange leaves and I played around with them a little bit to try to figure out how I wanted them to be placed. And I use a little ATG adhesive and I attach them down to the layout. And that completes this layout, everybody. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. In the description box, you'll find links to all of the other scrapbookers who are following along with this Mixed Media Frenzy monthly hop. And I hope that you got a few ideas watching this video or a little bit of inspiration. Have a fantastic day, everybody, and I hope to see all of you again soon. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.